Okay, so we're back for another D5,
Yeah.
and today we're looking at some trends. Really trying to figure out what they mean, what they could mean for all of us down the road. Tomorrow, next week, next year, even.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting stuff today, really.
Yeah, it is.
It seems like I don't know, finance and tech are kind of like becoming one thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Inseparable, almost.
absolutely. Yeah. It seems like all these sources we're looking at are pointing towards this future where everything's so much more accessible, so much more fluid, almost like, I don't know, like the walls are coming down in finance and blockchain is like the wrecking ball, you know?
Totally. Like for example, we have this Ronin Web Wallet Beta. So instead of like jumping between a million apps, to keep track of all your crypto, this is like a one-stop shop. Manage
Mhm.
your whole portfolio from one place.
Right, right.
But what I thought was really interesting is how they're addressing like the learning curve. I mean, remember those early crypto wallets? It was like trying to decipher hieroglyphics.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. A jumble of words. And if you lost them, you were in big trouble.
Exactly. But this Ronin Web Wallet Beta, it just makes everything so much simpler. Like even my grandma could use it.
Yeah, that's the point, right? To make crypto less intimidating, more user-friendly, secure password logins, an interface that actually makes sense? It's about opening the doors for everyone, not just the tech wizards.
I mean, that's huge, right? It's not just about understanding crypto, it's about being able to use it.
Exactly.
And that brings us to this whole open wallet concept.
Hmm.
I'll admit, I was a little lost on this one at first. I kind of needed like a, kindergarten explanation.
Well, think of it this way. Imagine your wallet's not just tied to one platform, but it can connect with any blockchain application out there. It's like having a universal key that opens any door in the blockchain world.
Okay, I like that, a universal key.
Hmm.
So I can move my crypto around seamlessly, use it in different ways.
Exactly. And that could be a game changer for Ronin adoption, right? Because suddenly the experience becomes so much smoother, so much more versatile. People can actually do more with their crypto.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's easier to get into crypto, and then, once you're in, there's way more you can do with it. Pretty cool,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
But moving on, we've got Robinhood, right?
Yeah.
Robinhood, the trading app. Well, they're getting into the prediction markets game now with this new hub they're launching. I've placed a bet on like a football game or two, but this is different. This is like betting on like world events,
Right. It's like they're saying, hey, bet on the future. Robinhood's partnered with this company called Kalshi X, and they've created this platform, a regulated platform where you can literally wager on like real world stuff. Will this law pass? How will this company's earnings turn out? It's wild.
So it's not just about opinions. It's about like, putting your money where your mouth is, right?
Yeah.
And there's an incentive to be right.
It's like crowdsourced forecasting, but with skin in the game.
That's a lot of power to give to, the collective, right?
Yeah.
Like, do you think this could actually change how we, understand the news or even like affect policy decisions?
I mean, it's possible, right? Because the more people participate, the more data is fed into the system and the more refined the models become. And it brings prediction markets into the mainstream, which could make them a more, I don't know, legitimate tool, for analysis, for decision making even. Who knows?
I mean, it's fascinating to think about, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
And speaking of like big players, our next source, it highlights this, I don't know, pretty bold statement from the U.S. Treasury Secretary.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And they're saying America wants to be the world leader in digital assets, like the top dog.
Wow. Well, that's a pretty big shift in policy, isn't it? It's like they're saying, hey, we're not afraid of this crypto stuff. We're going to embrace it. They want to be the ones setting the rules, shaping the future of finance, not just following along.
Right.
And it definitely raises some questions, like how will they regulate this new landscape? How will they make sure it's a safe space for innovation, without sacrificing stability? There's a lot to figure out.
Yeah. And it makes you wonder how other countries are going to react. Will they try to keep up? Will we see some kind of, I don't know, digital asset arms race? It's crazy to think about.
I know, right?
But okay, moving on to something a little different. Our next source, it talks about this thing called tokenized property ownership.
Right.
And it sounds like something out of, like a science fiction movie, but it's happening now. So like instead of needing millions of dollars to buy real estate, you can buy like tiny fractions of properties using blockchain technology.
Right. It's like owning a piece of the pie, Imagine owning
Yeah.
a little sliver of like the Empire State Building or a beach house in Malibu. It's like you have this digital deed that says, hey, You own a piece of this.
It's wild. And it means that, you don't have to be a millionaire to invest in real estate anymore.
Exactly. It's about breaking down those barriers, making property ownership accessible to everyone. And the cool thing is, it also makes it more liquid. You can buy and sell these fractions just like you would stocks.
So it's way easier to get in and out of the market.
Yeah. And that could completely revolutionize real estate, right? I mean, imagine the possibilities.
It's a whole different world. And speaking of shaking things up, our final source dives into the world of altcoins. So I've been seeing Bitcoin, all over the news. It's been surging lately, but it seems like altcoins haven't really followed suit. What's the story there?
Well, it's actually pretty common. Altcoins, they often lag behind Bitcoin. And it's not necessarily because, people aren't excited about them. It's more about liquidity, how easily things can be bought and sold.
Okay, I'm listening.
So think of it this way. When things are a little uncertain, like they are now with, what central banks are doing, investors, they tend to go for the safest bet, the most established asset. And in crypto, that's Bitcoin.
So it's like a flight to safety, right? When things are shaky, everyone runs to Bitcoin.
Exactly. But here's the interesting part. Historically speaking, once that initial Bitcoin surge, once it kind of, settles down and the money starts flowing again, that's when we tend to see a lot of capital flowing back into altcoins.
Oh, interesting. So like once Bitcoin has its moment, then the altcoins get their chance to shine.
Yeah, and that could mean, we see a pretty significant altcoin rally, maybe late 2025, who knows, but the potential is definitely there.
So to wrap this all up, I mean, we've covered a lot, right? We talk about these new crypto wallets that are super easy to use, these prediction markets where you can bet on the future, even fractional real estate ownership.
It's a lot to take in.
It is. But the takeaway here, it seems like, is that blockchain technology, it's changing everything. It's like becoming part of the DNA of finance.
Yeah, it's really remarkable. What stands out to me is how all these trends, they're kind of working together to redefine our relationship with money, with investing, with value itself even. It's like we're on the verge of a financial revolution, and blockchain is the engine driving it all.
I like that, a financial revolution. And it makes you wonder, what's next? What's going to happen 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, it's going to be an exciting ride.
I think so, yeah. Buckle up, everyone.
Buckle up. Well, that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. We'll catch you next time.